Hi, this is Mahesh Ravi, and we are going to look at a very interesting topic today. So, before getting into the topic, let me give you a small context to what actually is happening. So, in my design class, I gave the students a task to come up with a design manifesto. So, a design manifesto is basically a statement which illustrates the purpose of why do they want to do design. So, students came up with their thoughts, and one of a really interesting statement that student Gauri made here is simplify, solve, sustain. So what she actually intended by it is to create solution that simplifies the problem, solves the problem, and then make that solution sustain for a longer period of time. So it's a very, very good cause and a very interesting statement to put on, a manifesto. And she created a visually stunning design as well. So you can see that right here. It's a motion version of the poster. Now, so the problem here, it's aesthetically a very powerful design. But the problem here is that the statement that she said and the design style that she's using is not connected. So instead of simplifying a problem, she actually took a visual, then made it a little more complex for people to understand. It's a very interesting experiment, but it doesn't connect to the story that she wanted to say. When the style that you're using is not connected to the story, it might not reach the audience in the right way, and it might not sit well with them. So how do we actually take this and figure it out, right? So a visual understanding is really important. At the same time, you need to think that your story is conveyed to the audience in the right visual form. So let's take this case and let me just write the statement here. Simplify, solve, sustain. Very interesting. So, how do we basically take this and convert it into a visual story? We can just use typography, so it's not about shapes or anything like that. We are just going to use typography to visualize it. So, how do we show simplification in typography? So, let's take this as a separate element here. We are going to take simplify. Let's zoom the document a bit and then reduce it, the type size to 18 right now. So we have a simple typeface. Let's give it a little more breathing space. So this is simple right now. This is simple typeface. It's easy to read. It is very legible and all that. So if you want to show that how simple this is, we have to juxtapose it with something which is not that simple, right? I'll show you an example. So I'm going to just duplicate this. I'm going to make this a little complex. I'm going to reduce the readability of this text by bringing the tracking really close here. Make it maybe a little bolder. You can try to strike it off as well, right? So this is difficult to read, and we actually made it readable. We simplified the whole thing. So this is a visual narrative. We actually presented a visual story in here. Let's try the second one, solve, right? So let's duplicate this. Let's bring it maybe here, and then we'll write solve. How do you create a visual story out of solve, right? It's fairly easy. We have to show that the same way, juxtapose it with a solution here. So I'm just going to duplicate this and put right here. This is the solution, but this is not a problem yet. How do you make this into a problem? Very simple. Make it look like a formula. So I'm just going to go here and then add a plus sign here. Right, so we have solve. It's visually, when you look at it, you know that, okay, that's a problem, and here is a solution for it. So we solved it. Now let's take the other one, which is sustain. So we have something like sustain written here. How do you show that it's sustaining? So we have to show that the solution exists even before the scope, even after the scope of this particular problem. It is always there. The solution is always there for people to use. Very, very simple. Just replicate it and show that it is going beyond the problem. So I'm just gonna keep it going like this. So we have visual representation of the three statements which are written right here. The problem, basically, it is simplified here. You can see that this is simplified, it is solved, and it is sustaining. Let's delete this. Let's, make it a little better. So I'm going to take a line. I will add a stroke right here. There we go. We have a solution which actually does justice to what the content actually says: simplify, solve, and sustain. So use this thought. Let's just an example here, but I just want to give you one perspective to look at visually solving problems, which might actually seem impossible. But when you apply your form storming skills, when you start looking at everything, even typefaces as a form, you will be able to tackle design problems much more efficiently. So I hope this is helpful, and I'll see you soon with another video. Thank you.